Everybody, what is going on? It is Crypto Bobby. Hope you are having a great day, great night, wherever you are watching in from. Really excited to be coming to you with another edition of Crypto Happy Hour here. Appreciate everybody taking the time to join me. What's up, J Bags? Hope you have a good one. B Pollen, Iceberg, Eric Shiz, what's going on, Mirko? Hope you guys are having a good one. Already seeing some solid questions coming in, and really today just wanted to pop in, talk about some of the things that are going on in the market as a whole, and then obviously answer as many questions as possible. I am right now, I'm out in LA for some meetings this week. It's beautiful. I don't know how anybody can complain at all when they live out here. I'm staying like 2 blocks away from the beach. It's freaking awesome. Riding birds everywhere. So it's a fun time. It is a nice change of pace from New York for sure. So excited about that. What's going on, Omar, Corey, Dave? Hope you guys are having a good one. One thing that I will link to in the comments here, and I will put a link to in the description below after we watch this, but this is a video afterwards. If you have 30 minutes of spare time, definitely check out this interview with here, I'll put a link. It is a video with Mike Novogratz, who I'm sure many of you know, but probably one of the more prominent institutional level cryptocurrency investors out there. And he had a 40-minute talk at Bloomberg's Invest conference about cryptocurrencies. I've watched about half of it so far. It just came out, but I would definitely recommend giving that a quick look if you do have time. I'm gonna watch the rest of it. Novogratz is somebody that I greatly respect from an investing standpoint, probably one of the brighter guys out there in terms of crypto investing. So definitely a video that if I were you, I would take a watch of as well. And so popping over here too, it's been a pretty interesting day in the markets. For the most part, my portfolio has done fairly well. Some of my, I would say, biggest shit coins have pumped pretty nicely. Some of them up like 10-15%, whereas Bitcoin staying fairly stable around up, recovering a little bit, just above 7,600 right now, up about 1.5%. ETH doing its thing as well, but some of my smaller cryptocurrencies that are kind of crypto bridge type assets, IDEX assets, they're doing pretty well today, which has been fun to see. Claudio Bach, the market is crashing. What are we talking about? But yeah, I think a couple different interesting things there's no massive news that has been driving any price action. We've talked about that before. I think some natural market movements for the time being. But with that being said, a couple things that I think we could definitely dive into and talk about. EOS is one of the big ones that we'll dive into, talk a little bit more about EOS. As you can see here, it's days after launch. The blockchain still isn't live. There's a lot of stuff with the block producers that is going on right now. I was meeting somebody today who's kind of going through that process of getting set up as a block producer. A lot of interesting things with EOS, and that is something that a lot of people are talking about potentially being like the next Ethereum, or beating Ethereum, and there's a lot of big bets being placed on that. A lot of concentration of wealth, a lot of whales, a lot of different aspects. So we could definitely jump into all of that as well. Zhao Zhang, I'm probably butchering the pronunciation of your name. Yes, I am still holding Polyswarm. It has not performed very well recently from a price standpoint, but I do. It's a bag that I'm willing to hold. I think that the team is. I really like the team. Steve, particularly the CEO. I've had a chance. I met him in person at the Bitcoin conference in Miami. I had a chance to meet up with him again at Consensus in New York. Talked to him for about an hour, and I like the approach that they're taking. He is very much focused, not necessarily on the coin price, but on actually delivering a product. And when they say, hey, we're going to be delivering this XYZ date, making sure that the development actually meets that, I think that'll hopefully in the long run pay off. Who knows? But yeah, I am still holding Polyswarm. So ICO scam, crazy scam again, Quarkchain. That is something I think they get. Quarkchain at least got a lot of negative feedback because I believe the team is like 96% of the token supply, something crazy with Binance. Something crazy. They, I believe, got listed on Binance, and I think Luke Martin, venture coinist, if some of you guys know who that is on Twitter, I'm sure a lot of you follow Luke. But Luke had mentioned, I think it's over 10x of the ICO price. So Quarkchain absolutely crushed it. Pretty limited supply there. I haven't done a ton of research into it, haven't purchased it or anything like that, but I know they got a lot of negative feedback after CZ posted. CZ, the CEO of Binance, posted. Yeah, we can actually pull this up here, but let's see here. CZ. So QKC, which I believe is Quarkchain, and it shows, he said, okay, QKC token distribution created by a community member. This shows, number one, the crowd is powerful. Number two, the crowd is powerful given the transparent nature of the blockchain. Number three, most of the usable circulating supply is already on Binance. Expect high volatility, i.e. swings in both ways. But if you look at this here, apparently this is somebody put this together, but the team wallets, there is a team wallet that is 45%, 40%, and 11%, meaning that the team wallets from the ICO or from the tokens, they have 96% of the supply. All the other wallets in circulation, it's basically between 96% on Binance, or 96% the team holds, 2.5%, about 2.5% on Binance, and some small assorted bits kind of around there. So yeah. Frank, what's up, man? Are you still bullish on Cardano? I think that right now, at least in my mind, EOS has a lot greater mind share, it seems like, in the crypto investing community. A lot more VCs, a lot more hedge fund managers seem to be betting on EOS than they are on Cardano. That doesn't necessarily mean that will stay the case forever, but I think it will be interesting. There was a certain point in time where it seemed like Cardano was kind of leading the way for the whole like blockchain 3.0 type of platform, the next generation Ethereum, whatever you want to call it. But now EOS has taken over a lot of that mind share, and I think people are talking about EOS a lot more than they might be talking about Cardano. Who knows how that'll end up panning out in the long run. I think Cardano has been working pretty hard behind the scenes on a lot of different things. We'll have to see how that ends up panning out, but it seems like EOS to me has a lot of the momentum that maybe Cardano did in the past. Sam Rosenberg, I will not be silenced on the Bitcoin scaling debate. I am not convinced of SegWit and Lightning. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think I saw Sam talking about Bitcoin Cash before. I am personally not a big Bitcoin Cash fan, or not necessarily a big Bitcoin Cash fan. I just, I don't know. It's from an investment standpoint, from a scalability standpoint. I don't necessarily know if Bitcoin Cash is the better Bitcoin or the real Bitcoin, but I do think that if you do have issues with SegWit and Lightning, I don't really know what issues you might have with SegWit. I think SegWit, it's over 40% of Bitcoin transactions now. It has been scaling nicely. It has been working well. I think Lightning is the bigger question mark. There is a solid team working on Lightning. I think they are delivering. It is definitely a question, though. There's no guarantee that Lightning Network is going to magically scale Bitcoin and that it will be successful. So I do think, if you are a Bitcoin Cash fan, or even if you're a Bitcoin fan, it is reasonable to have questions about the viability of Lightning and a lot of other things there. So I think that is, you can certainly have a healthy degree of skepticism. I think that is important. Regardless, I think the one thing though is, you don't want to fall in love with anything in particular, and you always just have to ask the right questions and be okay changing your mind in the future. So that's something that is really that is something that is really important. And one note on that too. So here is tomorrow I will be having an interview. We'll be talking Travis Kling, who some of you might know, but he is somebody who is running. I can't even pronounce the name of Ikijai. It's a crypto asset hedge fund, and he is one of the founders of it. He has a traditional background in hedge fund management, or portfolio management, excuse me, in portfolio management. And I'm going to be speaking with him tomorrow, as well as my guy Rocco at Upstropolis. But had a chance to talk to him a little bit today as far as kind of his thought process. And I think it's going to be a really, really fun, interview. He's somebody that had previously managed, I think it was a $200 million portfolio at 0.72, and just knows what he's doing and what he's talking about in terms of trading and managing a crypto fund. And he is going to the discussion that we'll have tomorrow. I think it's going to be really awesome. You guys are going to get a ton out of it when it comes down to how to value a cryptocurrency, a crypto asset, fundamentally, how to look at technical analysis, how to take a lot of different things into consideration, because he's somebody that's doing all of that right now. So it's going to be an awesome conversation. Really going to enjoy it. But definitely stay tuned for that. Thoughts? What's up, Pamela? Thoughts on Lindacoin, and then Mr. Salvatore Placino, crypto, if interested, look. Not exactly sure what that is, but I'll pop over on Linda. So Linda's admittedly, I don't want to say too small for me, because I do have a couple tokens that are in this range, kind of my moonshot cryptocurrencies, but I haven't really done a ton of research on Linda project, Lindacoin. When it comes to privacy coins, I think my highest conviction privacy coin personally is Monero. I think that that is what that is kind of the highest conviction bet that I have from a privacy coin standpoint. I do think they just released, I think, command line interface interaction with Ledger, and they're going to have, I believe, a GUI based interaction with Ledger soon too. So once you can store Monero and send Monero via a Ledger, I think that's going to be huge. And I'm really kind of stacking Monero in anticipation of that. But yeah, I haven't done a ton of research into Linda project, so I don't know too much. As far as, looks like it's a privacy coin that handles a couple different things. So I have to check it out a little bit further to make any type of really good or accurate assumption on it. So taking a look at some of these questions here. What are my moonshot coins? So I have a couple smaller bets that are like sub $15 million market cap that I've mostly kept off the radar, just because I haven't wanted to, or I've avoided wanting to get accused of shilling small market cap coins to anybody. So for the most part, I've kind of stayed off that. I really only have like 2 or 3 that are pretty small. The rest of my portfolio is published out there. So that's kind of been my approach as of late. Good question there. Zcash will be the winner in the long run, like Snowden says. I don't necessarily know. That'll be interesting, because they're right now, I think the 2 most prominent privacy coins. Anybody can argue that. Anybody can argue what they want, but the 2 most prominent privacy coins are Monero and Zcash. However, Monero has essentially like built-in privacy, and Zcash has what people call optional privacy, where you can do shielded transactions or you can do public transactions. Because there is quote unquote optional privacy with Zcash, people say if it's optional, it's not really private. And one interesting thing though with Zcash is they did get approved by the New York Department of Financial Services, the NYDFS, to be traded on Gemini, which is a highly regulated crypto exchange in New York. It's the Winklevoss brothers. So it was really interesting, because I think a lot of people had previously talked about Zcash and just these privacy coins basically not being able to be traded, or they're going to have to get removed from exchanges because they will enable tax evasion and all types of different things that you might be associated with privacy coins. Whereas then Zcash was actually approved by the New York Department of Financial Services to be traded on a regulated exchange, Gemini, which I think is really interesting. But that also might have to do with the optional privacy features, not the fully all-in privacy features. So it will be interesting to see how that ends up panning out. But I don't know what this is. I'll take a quick look. This is unique cryptocurrency. Take a look and see what this is. So I'm not once approved by the SEC, packs for prospective investors. I'm assuming this would be a security token, because if it's supposed to be an asset-backed token, this to me, and I haven't done any research on it, so I have no idea, but the assumption here would be that this would be a security token, and I would assume that it would be only offered to accredited investors out of the gate. I do not know if this is the case. I have no idea about this token. I've never seen it before, so I can't really dive into that in too much detail. So investments, SEC anticipated. Yeah, to me, this seems like this would be more of a security token offering than an initial coin offering, if it is backed by real estate. But I don't know. So who the hell knows? Yeah, once approved. Yeah, there were a couple different things on that website that I didn't really love seeing, so I'll reserve comment for the time being, though. I will definitely reserve comment for the time being. So popping a look over here too on this is something that I would definitely keep an eye out if you are just investing in the crypto industry or looking at these things in general. But EOS, the launch of EOS is going to be an interesting case study to keep an eye on, I think, in the long run, and how the success of EOS kind of might happen, or how the initial success or lack thereof happens with EOS. Like I said, there are a lot of, I think, prominent investors that are very much all in on EOS and think that it is going to be a very potentially successful platform, and maybe take a lot of market share from Ethereum. However, it is something that will be. I think that there's a lot of question marks. There's a lot of holes. I tweeted about this previously, though. Where in the case of EOS, in the case of a lot of these other solutions out there, there's a direct, at least in my opinion, there's typically a direct correlation between the decentralization and the relationship of scalability. Right now, the more decentralized a cryptocurrency or a network typically is, the lower the scalability is, or the lower the transactions per second that you might be seeing. So in the case of Bitcoin, probably the most decentralized crypto asset out there. However, the scalability is much less so than basically all the other cryptocurrencies. Although you can factor in SegWit, Lightning Network, and a lot of other potentially layer 2 issues, but kind of the Bitcoin network itself, it's as decentralized as anything out there, but it suffers in scalability right now. And then some of these other newer platforms or newer networks like EOS, where they have this delegated proof of stake, and they're electing delegates to basically agree and get to consensus. they are more scalable, but at the same point in time, you can argue that because you are selecting delegates, it is not as decentralized as some of the other networks. So I think it's going to be the ideal balance of what centralization is versus decentralization, or what this centralization versus scalability is. I don't think we've struck that balance to gain mass adoption. Who knows? Frankly, does anyone think Ripple is going to explode because Brad Garlinghouse saying banks will use it by the end of 2018? Well, Brad Garlinghouse is the CEO of Ripple, so obviously he is going to say that banks will use XRP. So I don't necessarily think Ripple is going to explode. I still think that Ripple is probably, what do we have? $26 billion market cap. I still think Ripple is overvalued. That doesn't necessarily mean that it won't pump. I mean, there was a point in time where Ripple is worth over $100 billion market cap wise. They are a team that can, they're a team that can execute. They're a team that can definitely garner projects. They're extremely professional. But I think that the utility of the token itself doesn't necessarily warrant a $26 billion valuation. But that's my personal opinion on that subject. My opinion on BTC price in 2 years, not investment advice. It's funny because I was talking, like I said, Travis, who we'll have on the channel tomorrow, who is a crypto hedge fund manager. We had that conversation because I tweeted out, hey, I'm gonna have Travis and Rocco on the channel. Let me know your questions. And somebody tweeted, what do you think is going to happen to the market in 2 years and then in 5 years? And I think anybody that says that with any level of conviction is kind of full of shit. If you said 5 years, there are a couple people that hit things right, like Tim Draper, like 3-4 years ago, was like, hey, Bitcoin's going to be $10,000. Bitcoin was $10,000. But I mean, for the most part, those are educated guesses and things like that. That's incredible foresight by Tim Draper. I am not a person that has incredible foresight. So it's tough to, really kind of see that. I do think that there is going to be a significant use case for Bitcoin personally as a digital store of value, as the quote unquote digital gold. I don't know if I struggle to see Bitcoin becoming a payment vehicle, but I do think that Bitcoin will continue because of the hash power behind it, because of the technical talent that's developing, helping to increase the network and some other kind of components around it. I do believe that Bitcoin will be the digital store of value over a lot of the other alternatives for the time being, probably for the next at least two plus years. And with that being said, I think the value will increase accordingly, especially with the fixed supply, and it's basically deflationary in that respect. Or at a certain point in time, it will essentially be deflationary. But I think that, I don't know. I've said, and this is sounding like it'll probably be wrong by the end of the year with the way the market is looking, but I thought that we might see like $25,000, $27,000 Bitcoin by the end of 2018. I don't know if that'll happen at this point in time. If it does, I'd love that. But yeah, that was kind of my thought process. So I think in 2 years or so, you really got to honk, bro. I think by the next like 2 years or so, we'll see $30,000 Bitcoin and beyond. So taking a look at some of these questions. Appreciate the questions, everybody. And if you're watching this right now too, throw a thumbs up, throw a like. Would really, really appreciate that. Helps to get this video out to as many people as possible. So if you wouldn't mind hitting that like button, that'd be super helpful. Just taking a look here as well. Hey Andy, what's up? What's the status on the mining rig stuff? So I haven't gotten started with the mining rigs. I started playing around with some masternodes. So I have like 3 masternodes running right now. So I kind of did that in lieu of the mining rigs. I'm going through like a personal move, just like physically location. So I before haven't really wanted to set up any mining rigs prior to moving. Once I do that in the next couple weeks, I will once I do that in the next couple weeks, I'll kind of have the opportunity to dive deeper into the mining stuff, and would definitely like to talk a little bit further with some people like Not So Fast and a couple other guys that are on Twitter that I think are extremely intelligent and have a fantastic idea of the mining game, both from like a speculative mining perspective and just mining in general. So when I do that, I'd love to get somebody like Not So Fast or some of the other folks on the channel to talk a little bit more and provide advice for me and to you guys as well. So that'd be pretty cool. Checking out these questions. So B Pollen says, great new video with Bruce Fenton on Ravencoin today. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. I still have a good size holding of Ravencoin. I like Ravencoin. Hasn't done much from a price standpoint. I'll pop it over here. Hasn't done all that much from a price perspective since I bought in. I think it actually might be it's about even. I think I bought it when it was on maybe a 30. I don't remember the exact market cap I got in at, but yeah, Ravencoin is something that I have been accumulating a fair amount of, and will continue to do so. I think right now it's only trading on basically Crypto Bridge. For the most part. Once it may or may not hit an exchange with some actual liquidity, I think that would be massive for it. Yeah, I have a great amount of respect for Bruce Fenton. Smart dude. Security tokens, and I've been diving into, just professionally speaking, at AirSwap, been diving into like research on security tokens and working with some of the individuals in that space. So it's been a good experience, and how Ravencoin is approaching it will be interesting to watch as well. Corey, what's up, man? Thank you very much for that super chat. Really do appreciate that. Thoughts on Storika? So admittedly, I haven't done a ton of research on Storika. Let's see. On HitBTC IDEX. I've actually never seen Indodax. If anybody wouldn't mind, even just give me a little, what do we got here? Indodax. If anybody's ever used Indodax, I've literally never heard of this before. And there's $7 million of volume, 24-hour volume from Storika. So that's pretty interesting to see. But I've never gotten a chance to I guess, never really used it before. So I guess it's an Indonesian crypto exchange. But yeah, Storika itself, I haven't done a ton of research on it personally. The like e-commerce and payment type of marketplace itself isn't the most interesting to me, from just a general use case standpoint. I think maybe it's a little bit more limited for the time being, and there's not as much friction there that we need blockchain or cryptocurrency to solve. That's my personal opinion, but I'll have to dive into this a little bit more because I don't have a ton of great thoughts that would be, I think, really helpful for Storika as a whole. But I'll definitely add that to the list to research. But e-commerce for me personally just isn't like, I have a hard time seeing the use case, I guess, for e-commerce for the time being. Thanks a lot, Jorge. I appreciate that, man. Crypto we got there. So Crypto Nate says, what will be the catalyst for Bitcoin price explosion? Who has 500 billion to play with? So a couple different things you need to understand too. I mean, when it comes down to the crypto markets as a whole, somebody doesn't need to go out and have $500 billion to get us to an $800 billion market cap. It doesn't work like that. Is you have the existing supply, and there's a certain number of people that are going to hold regardless. And if $500 billion enters the crypto space, that would be massive. There's probably only about 10 to $15 billion of actual money that's ever flowed in of actual fiat money that's ever really flowed into crypto, just from a market standpoint. But the market cap as a whole right now is like $350 billion. So there's only been 10-15 billion dollars, I think, for the most part, that's actually come in. JP Morgan did a study a while ago, as far as, I think this is like back in September, that only $5 billion of fiat moved into crypto, and it powered the marketplace all the way up to $150 billion at the time or something like that. So I do think that there are definitely issues when it comes down to, from my conversations and the people that I've spoken to that are investing in this space and that are crypto hedge fund managers and people like that. One of the biggest things is custody. There isn't necessarily a great custody solution so far for the crypto market. For if an institutional investor wants to put money in, there's not a great custody solution yet. That's something that will likely happen by the end of 2018. I believe there are a lot of companies trying to do that. That's one of the biggest things. I think the traditional infrastructure as well, like the traditional types of trading platforms, prime brokerage, things like that, those aren't in place yet either. But I think you're going to start seeing the entrance of, from all the conversations that I've had, there are a lot of large investors kind of trying to figure out a strategy and figuring out the infrastructure and things like that, but they have not really moved into the space yet, but they are examining how to properly do so. Or hey, sure, man. We'll pop that over. Jeez, that's fallen off a cliff. Yeah, I have to dive into this one a little bit more. I'm skeptical a lot of times on these where, the 10,000 transactions per second. That I'd have to research it more, but I mean, if it actually had 10,000 transactions per second, you'd think that the price would reflect that, and it wouldn't be an $18 million market cap and have fallen off a cliff. A lot of what it comes down to too is developer adoption. Like you can have a platform built for developers, but are developers actually using it? I don't know in the case of Lambda. I would guess not as much in comparison to Ethereum or EOS or Cardano or Hashgraph or whatever it might be. If nobody's developing on the platform, who gives a shit how many transactions per second it can do? It doesn't make a damn difference because nobody's developing it, regardless of how well it scales. So something to think about. Outside of that, I have never read the white paper, so I'd have to do a little bit more research there. But looks like, where is it trading? Just pretty much IDEX and HIT BTC with fairly low volume. So Michael Penfold says 10,000 transactions per second is still really slow. I mean, well, when you consider EOS does about Ethereum does about 7 transactions per second, and Bitcoin does like 3 to 5. It's pretty damn fast in comparison. So thoughts on Elastos? I've seen a lot of people talking about Elastos recently for whatever reason. I don't know if somebody's been on that shill game or not. The old internet of the future. Partners, blah, 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 blah. I still need to read the Elastos white paper. that up. So I still need to read Elastos' white paper. It's something that I haven't for the size. I'll actually maybe after this call today, or after this crypto happy hour today, I'll dive into it. I'll read the white paper and see kind of what everything is happening with Elastos, but I haven't gotten a chance to do so yet. So that's definitely something that I should get moving on. So a couple different things. Paul, definitely get to that. Charlie Lee says the whole market is a bore right now, not likely to heat up until 2019. If we're talking about institutions getting in, I think that's going to happen towards the later end of 2018, 2019, or larger investors. I think that the retail investors are definitely getting bored of the market. When things move sideways, people bounce, people leave. That's something that definitely occurs and definitely happens. I would just recommend in that case that, you either stay disciplined, try to take that time where there's not much happening in the market to learn as much as you can, whether it's getting better, understanding fundamental analysis or technical analysis, or if you're going to dive into mining or masternodes or whatever it might be, pick something that you enjoy doing that kind of tides you over, because I think that there is at some point in time going to be another crazy bull run and shit's going to get nuts. But if you just pack up and go home or just stop doing research or anything like that, you're going to be in a poor position for when that does come around again, and you're going to potentially regret that. Who knows? That's kind of my thought process, and one of the reasons, or how I try to stay as like disciplined as possible on a lot of this stuff. Let me actually fix this. I would try to stay as disciplined as possible on a lot of this, just because I think, like, I've seen this happen before when I joined the crypto space. And I think a lot of people tend to leave, and you can see it across the board no matter how you look at things. Paul Lindsay, what's up, good bro? Good to see you as always. Do you set stop losses? Mine got triggered last night right before a nice small run up. Yes, I do in some cases. Not as much recently right now, but I do set stop losses if I enter a position and I'm thinking, hey, I'm open with 10-15% maybe downside on this or whatever it is for a target price of XYZ. So I do set stop losses. I mean, that is obviously one of the risks when you do set a stop loss, is it triggers your stops and then the price can rebound. That always sucks, but that's part of the game. And it's absolutely part of the game. Excellent thought process. People who are impatient will regret it and commit suicide. Well, I hope nobody commits suicide. Don't do that. If you ever need help, call suicide hotline. But don't do that. But yeah, I think there's a level of patience. There's a level of just constantly learning. You want to do that as much as possible, because it is, you see these market cycles happen in crypto. In a lot of cases, they happen in an accelerated time frame. But there is this like whole crazy, the retail investors that for the most part are putting money into crypto are very much fickle. And the second they stop making 10-20% in a day and stop doing what happened from November to early January, where you would put in $100 and it would turn to $1,000, or you put in $10,000 and it turned to $100,000, and everybody thought they were a genius, and they were watching videos every day, and they were going on Twitter and all this stuff. And the second year $100,000 went to $50,000, you're like, hey, this sucks. I'm packing my bags and going home. Nothing wrong with that, but I think there is something to be said about if you do believe in the asset class, and you do believe in whether it's the ethos of crypto or Bitcoin or whatever, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, Ethereum, whatever it might be, whatever your reason is for being here, if you continue to learn, it will, I believe, help you in the long run. And that's kind of the approach that I try to take. Mainstream media won't cover crypto until Bitcoin is back above $10,000 again. I don't necessarily agree with that. I mean, Mike Novogratz was just on Bloomberg's Invest conference, and they streamed the entire thing, and it went, it's 40 plus minutes of Mike Novogratz talking about crypto, how he got into the space, why he believes in it, all this type of stuff, what he sees in the future. I mean, Bloomberg's pretty mainstream, so that's definitely something to think about So burst, please, Travis. What is this? 52 mil, blah, 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 blah. Crypto is bad. Our crypto is good. Blah, 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 blah. That's interesting. The union of blockchain and tangle. If there's any devs that have looked into this at all, I'd love to. I haven't gotten a chance to read through the white paper or actually use it, but I'd love to see how they actually integrate blockchain and tangle together, because that's like a cross between Bitcoin and IOTA, and then has smart contracts molded into it. Seems like a buzzword soup to me, but I haven't done enough research to know whether or not this is the case. But there's a lot of interesting claims on this that make me say, sounds great in theory. Like, okay, decentralization, cool. Energy efficiency, all right, cool. You might think Bitcoin wastes a bunch of energy. Bitcoin Cash, all this mining wastes a bunch of energy. It's infinitely scalable. Well, how is that going to happen? Because everybody says they're infinitely scalable, but are they? Who knows? So I'd have to dive into this a little bit more, but those are some pretty lofty claims. Cryptos and tokens, what's up, man? Can you look at XinFin? You guys are really throwing me for... There's so many goddamn cryptocurrencies now, it's ridiculous. It is impossible to keep track with the number of tokens. Somebody had asked about these guys previously. It's already trading. I guess they had the ICO. They reached a hard cap. Blah, blah, blah. So it's an ERC20 token. I'm assuming if it's traded on MetaMask or if you use MetaMask in my Ether wallet. So support KYC price. Yeah, I got to look into this a little bit more. Is this trying to? So it's trying to do a lot. Looks like on the security token side of it, kind of looks like on the security token, or would be applicable to the security token side of the house, because you're able to add in a KYC, which is know your customer, and AML is anti-money laundering. You're able to add that in to create compliance, and then tie smart contracts to the picture. Basically tie smart contracts to the picture, and then allow that to interact with different individuals and institutions as well. So it's not ERC20 or it's not an ERC20. It's only for liquidity as a native token as well as a platform. I'll have to dive into it a little bit more. It does sound fairly interesting. It's our favorite guy, Roger Ver. Maybe your favorite guy, maybe your least favorite guy. So one thing I don't necessarily like, this is just something that bothers me, is when a company puts their advisors ahead of the team. That goes to show that your advisors are more valuable than the team itself. Not a big fan of that. Don't necessarily want to throw any shade or anything like that, but I think they're leading with the fact that, oh, hey, we have Roger Ver as an advisor, which is obviously, it's a big deal. I mean, he does advise a few different projects, but when you put that before the team as a whole, that's I don't love seeing that as much. Roger involved bad project. That's funny. Shade is thrown all day, baby. And guys, if you are watching this right now, hit that thumbs up button, hit that like button. It helps to get this video out to as many people as possible. And just so you know how much I care about you guys, I'm looking outside the window right now. It's like 75 degrees, sunny, not a cloud in the sky, but I'm sitting inside for crypto happy hour, drinking water, because why not? Would rather be sitting here with you, although I'd love to just be on my roof, be on the roof of this this Airbnb instead. Thoughts on ZCL? Not a big ZCL guy anymore. I don't think I ever really was a ZCL guy, but tried to trade into the really just tried to trade into previously the Bitcoin private fork, and did moderately successful. Kind of broke. Didn't do all that much with that. A lot of people made a freaking killing on that Bitcoin private ZCL trade, buying ZCL like $5 and went all the way up to freaking $300. I mean, that was absolutely incredible. But yeah, ZCL right now to me is just kind of a platform to fork shitcoins off of. So that's not it's not, I don't know. Depending upon, you can always keep your ear to the ground, see if there's a good fork coming up or something like that. But I think enough people got burned on that once before, and it's fresh enough in recent memory that they're not going to want that to happen again. Thoughts on Bitcoin private? I'm not a big Bitcoin private guy. I think that Rhett leaving, if you guys are familiar with good old Hey Rhett, Rhett Cretan, the guy who kind of created Bitcoin private, or was the figurehead around Bitcoin private, and then has since basically got kicked off the Bitcoin private team, fired, or he quit, whatever. But he's no longer with the team, and I think he was kind of the figurehead behind it. And I kind of think that the project needs a figurehead right now. I do. I think once people get used to the idea of having like a founder behind a project, behind a company, and then once that founder leaves, it's a negative type of deal. And I just don't think that there's that many people. I think that there are, the lower Bitcoin private goes, the longer that it goes, I think the less people like become interested. And there's definitely a good number of, I would say, probably bag holders, because it was not a profitable, holding ZCL for the Bitcoin private was not really a profitable occurrence for the most part, unless you got into ZCL super early. So I'm not a big Bitcoin private guy. I don't think it has an incredible use case. Yeah, I'm just not, it's not my cup of tea. So Mr. Will says he pulled a Charlie Lee on that bitch. Well, Charlie Lee still actively works on Litecoin and still actively advocates for Litecoin pretty much on a 24/7 basis. He just sold his cryptocurrency, which you can definitely say, I mean, it's been, I think, negative for the most part from just an overall market sentiment and a lot of other things about Litecoin. But it hasn't affected him or hasn't stopped him from working on Litecoin. Like, Rhett literally stopped working on Bitcoin private, and then like a week later was like, hey, I'm forking another coin. Cool, dude. Timmy Belts, put your PO box out there. I'll send you some rum from the Virgin Islands. I would love some rum from the Virgin Islands, man. That sounds great. Do I ever use Binance? Yes, of course. Never. And thoughts on the Zcash dump. So we talked a little bit about this previously. What do we got here? Zen. I'll pull it up. Zcash has fallen off pretty good. So Zcash got 51% attacked. I believe it was here. I think that was on the 3rd, so about 2 days ago, and has since continued to sell off. It's down about 15% since the 51% attack, I believe. I talked about that in yesterday's video, where I think you're going to start seeing more and more 51% attacks. What do we have? The 51 crypto, crypto 51. This is an interesting website, and I think it's going to probably increase the number of 51% attacks. And I also think that if you are able to, if you are a nefarious actor, if you're a bad actor and you want to attack some of these tokens, it's surprisingly extremely easy to do so. So there are like the Zcash guys, literally the people that hacked Zcash. I don't know exactly how much money they spent to acquire the hashing power to run the 51% attack, but I would assume it was a lot lower than the $550,000 they were able to double spend. So I mean, even if you're spending 20 or even if you're spending 50 grand to rent hash power to run a 51% attack, which according to this website, it's nowhere near the amount that you'd need. You're still talking about this. Apparently, it says you only need $8,600 to do a 51% attack. You're able to double spend $550,000 after spending $10,000. You know, that 55x isn't a bad move at all. So. Justin Birkin says, reading Digital Gold right now, highly recommended. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Digital Gold, if you haven't read it before, it's one of my favorite crypto books, if not my favorite. It's a fantastic book. If you are new to the crypto space, I would definitely recommend that you give it a read and or a listen. I personally just listened to it on Audible, but I crushed that book so fast. It was fantastic. What's up, Brian? Hope all is well. There we go. Bitcoin Prime will change the world. No, I don't. Interesting B-Pollen here. It's this book right now. I'll pull it up. Digital. So here's the book that you'd want to check out. It is Digital Gold, Bitcoin, and the Inside Story of Misfits and Millionaires Trying to Reinvent Money. Basically goes over the creation of Bitcoin and a lot of the intricacies behind it, and kind of how Bitcoin got off the ground, and profiles a lot of people that you might be familiar with in the space too. So it's an awesome book. It's 2 years old at this point in time, so it really just focuses on Bitcoin. There's no like Ethereum, there's no shitcoin talk, whatever it might be. But if you are interested in learning about like the formation or the formative years of Bitcoin, it's the best book. And I think it also gives you, especially if you're not like, depending upon when you got into crypto, it'll give you a lot of really interesting insights into like why people are so loyal to Bitcoin and Bitcoin maximalism and some cool things like that as well. Grant, good question. Bobby, can you give some insight into your trading strategy, profit taking in the current market? In the current market during pumps, taking profit into Bitcoin or fiat, and the pros and cons. So right now, for me personally, I am taking the majority of trade profit into Bitcoin. I think that the price of Bitcoin right now is something that I feel is going to increase. I'm bullish on the long-term price of Bitcoin, and as such, I would rather be taking profits into and taking profits for altcoin trading or masternodes or whatever it might be, and just moving those immediately into Bitcoin. So if I make 20% or 50% or whatever on a trade, or if my daily masternode payout or whatever comes in, I will move that over to Bitcoin, and I'm just trying to stack Bitcoin. I am bullish on the long-term future of Bitcoin from a digital store of value, and I do think that like Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is not my only investments. I have a lot of money in the stock market. I have cash, whatever. So the money that I make trading, it's continued speculation for me, and I just kind of roll that into each other because I do think like long term I am confident in this market. Short term I have no idea, but long term I am confident in the market as a whole. I also am flexible though as well to say I am confident in Bitcoin right now, but there's no necessarily guarantee that that is going to be the long term that it is absolutely going to be the long term vision or the long term winner. So I just right now I try to learn as much as possible, and then also stay adaptable and the kind of just nimble enough to not fall in love with anything as a whole. Simon Bill, are you ignoring my rupee coin? Yes, I am, Simon. Sam Rosenberg. So that's one thing in digital gold. And this is kind of before a lot of the blockchain, the book was published before Bitcoin Cash existed, and before a lot of the division between somebody like Roger and that has gone down. So if you are interested in like Roger Ver was like a Bitcoin OGGG. And like the stories about him doing a lot of different things. I mean, he was massively helpful to getting Bitcoin off the ground. He had huge balls too for just like a ton of conviction for crypto. Like there's a lot of people out there that, say, oh shit, if I knew about Bitcoin in 2012, I would have put all my money into it. And I would have done everything. Like he actually did that. He took millions of dollars and bought Bitcoin when nobody thought Bitcoin was cool. Nobody thought it was anything, but he had a ton of conviction in it. He would get in cabs in New York and be like, hey, you're my cab driver. Here, I love this Bitcoin thing. You want $5 of Bitcoin? Here, I'll set you up a wallet. Do that. And would do that to everybody. Like that's interesting. Obviously, it's gone down different paths. Roger has done an incredible amount for Bitcoin. He's also generated a lot of friction in the community now, which may or may not be holding things back. But the story itself is interesting. Can I look at the charts for Burst? I mean, I don't know. Not necessarily a technical analyst on this. So, and what are the markets is even on? So it's on Bittrex. How long did it get listed on Bittrex? I mean, Burst's been around forever. I don't know. I have to dive into it. I have to do a little bit more research on Burst as well, but I mean, it's been around for a hell of a long time. I don't know if there's anybody that's been talking about, talking about why they like Burst or kind of the benefits of it or anything like that, or the reasoning for the question. But yeah, can't really dive into the chart too much. I don't have any spectacular insight on it. I haven't really looked at it at all. Greg W. So you work for a blockchain company. Does AirSwap pay the employees in crypto? You do have an option to receive payment in cryptocurrency, specifically Ethereum. But for me personally, I have enough money in crypto that I don't take payment in. I don't take payment now, at least. Or I don't take. You can do all of your salary in ETH. You can do part of your salary, whatever you might. So pretty cool. I know some blockchain companies do that, some don't. AirSwap does, which is awesome to have that optionality. But I don't take any payment in crypto just because I have enough. I have enough money in crypto that I think anything else is kind of irresponsible potentially. So I don't know. Charlie Rubin says, what do you do in sideways bear markets? I feel stuck, like I can't take profits or invest in anything. Currently looking at Telcoin, Octus, and BLZ Bluezell. Bluezell is probably the most interesting one out of those to me. Telcoin, but Bluezell is probably the most interesting one to me there. What do you do in sideways bear markets? I mean, number one, I typically I typically just mentally prepare myself for a lot of that. I think that, I mean, it's an incredibly volatile market, and bear markets can last for quite some time. The 2014, 2015 bear market lasted for like 2+ years, after Bitcoin ran all the way up to $1,200 and dropped back down to like $200. I mean, the bear markets can last for a long time, but there are always going to be opportunities, whether it's to increase your Bitcoin stack or to increase your fiat stack, whatever it might be. There's always going to be opportunities. It's just a matter of how hard you look to try to find them. But there's always going to be somebody making money in the crypto markets, which is something, you definitely want to try to continue to learn on. But I think there's also something to be said about, depending upon how much holdings you have, but also, like, I've thought into, like I said, I've diversified a little bit, started to play around a little bit with masternodes, and also will be playing around with mining as well, just from like a crypto to, not really just, I think, like overall diversification, but crypto diversification as well. Nav Singh is air swap hiring. Trying to think. I mean, there should be some stuff on the careers page if you want to ever check that out. I think we're hiring for marketing right now, as well as developers too, I believe. I don't know the positions off the top of my head. It's not really work on the recruiting side of the house, but yeah, typically, I mean, we're always hiring for technical talent and good people. So if you're interested, definitely feel free to reach out. Corey Mack, what's up, brother? Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Yeah, I've actually never been to Denver, and it's a place that I'd love to go. I'll probably go next year to ski. So would definitely love to go there. Electroneum will boom, Bobby. I'm not an Electroneum fan. You guys have known that probably since like day one, when Electroneum was running their ICO, and they've done a bunch of different things. If you mine Electroneum, if it makes you money, if that's profitable, that's great. But Electroneum being like the cryptocurrency of the future, or something that's going to gain mass adoption, I don't think so. I don't think they have the technical team or the talent to pull that off. But yeah, I think that Electroneum is not, it's not my cup of tea. Granted, it's done well since the ICO. It's done well for people that perhaps have put money into it. But yeah, I'm not a big Electroneum fan. ETN can't even fix their own blockchain. Well, their own blockchain it's a Monero fork. So Charlie, ski out west. It's a little nicer than Hunter. Yeah, I just started skiing really this year. So it's probably a good thing I didn't go out west, because I probably couldn't have handled any legit slopes. But next year, definitely happening, man. Definitely happening. Guys, if you are watching this right now, throw that thumbs up, throw the like button. Helps get this video out to as many damn people as possible, and I love you forever for it. Ski, Justin, ski. Frank, thank you very much for that super chat. I really do appreciate that. That's fantastic. Thank you so much, man. Do you agree, Kevin? What's up, man? Good question. Do you agree that crypto is not a hedge against traditional markets, considering the stock market has only gone up since 2018, thus creating more wealth than entered crypto? I don't think we have the data yet, to be honest. I don't think that. I mean, for the most part, the stock market has done nothing really but go up since 2008, when crypto was started, and then or when Bitcoin was essentially created around the time of the Lehman Brothers bankruptcy. Crypto is, for the most part, done nothing but, long-term vision. Crypto has gone through the roof. The stock market has also done really well. We haven't necessarily seen a bear market in the stock market, and how that has affected, or how that may affect the crypto markets as a whole. Will, if the stock market goes down, will people look to move their money into crypto because they think that will be a hedge? I'm kind of doubtful. I personally would think that if the stock market goes down, people might move their money just into cash or something else, and not necessarily into crypto. I don't know if there's a direct correlation, but I don't think we have the data yet to analyze that. Yeah, it will be, like you said, Kevin, it will be really interesting to see how the crypto market reacts to the next recession, and when that might happen. It'll be interesting to play out. It also depends on, I think, like I think it depends in some cases, like on not just like if it's just a general market pullback, or if there's some type of like big, whether it's a central bank meltdown or financial institution meltdown or something like that, where if a big bank goes insolvent, or if there's some issues with like a major country in Europe with their central bank or something like that, that in the past that could potentially propel something like Bitcoin as a digital store of value into prominence more often, or more likely than just a general market pullback. So a lot of different variables there. Yeah, Topher, Italy could definitely be one of those. Italy could be one of the starts. Greece, not necessarily Greece, but Cyprus, back in the day with Bitcoin, was something where that really put Bitcoin into prominence. That got a lot of it necessarily like use case and utility out of Bitcoin, because people in, I think it was Cyprus, were basically had their bank shut down, their access to capital pretty much taken from them. So if something like that happens again, then that could, not necessarily that you want to see that happen to anybody in general, but that could be something that really puts Bitcoin and cryptocurrency back into the headlines again as well. Guys, at this point in time, I'm going to go hang out a little bit and enjoy some of the sunlight, because I'm looking at the weather outside. It looks fantastic. So I'm probably gonna sit on the roof of my Airbnb, hang out for a little bit, relax, take my laptop up there, look at some maybe look at some charts and do a little bit of research, maybe pop through a white paper, something like that. But I really do appreciate the time from everybody today. I really appreciate all the super chats. Very kind, very generous from everybody. If you enjoyed this, hit that thumbs up button. If you're new here by any chance, hit the subscribe button and the notify bell so you get these videos anytime I do go live. Good luck buying, trading, holding, selling, whatever you might be doing in the crypto markets. Wish you the best. And as always, if you have any questions, if you need anything at all, please feel free to reach out in the comments. Try to be as helpful as possible, even if sometimes I'm not. But I try to be as helpful as possible. So thank you guys so much for your time. Have a good one. Take it easy. Peace.